I've spent years saying Tom Holland's Spider-Man doesn't feel real. Too much Stark tech, too much hand-holding, zero actual suffering. And now I'm sitting here looking at a leak that has Peter Parker physically transforming into a spider monster because of emotional trauma. The movie reportedly opens not with action, not with a villain, not with a cool suit reveal. It opens with Peter alone, narrating a letter he never sent to MJ and Ned. You don't remember me, but we used to know each other. Because here's what the leak is telling us, and this is the part I find genuinely fascinating. Peter didn't just lose his friends when Strange wiped everyone's memories. He lost his entire reason to exist as Peter Parker. So he just stopped existing as Peter Parker. Completely. He throws himself into Spider-Man full-time. No balance, no relationships, no personal life, just crime fighting on loop. Because stopping means sitting alone with everything he gave up. The trailer shows him taking down Rhino, Boomerang, Chameleon, and yeah, it looks cool. But according to the leak, none of that is heroism. That's avoidance. That's a coping mechanism wearing a red and blue suit. New York loves him. He gets the key to the city. But here's the problem. The Department of Damage Control is watching, and they don't see a hero. They see a vigilante operating with zero oversight. And that becomes the structural conflict that drives the whole first act. Now here is where the movie apparently gets genuinely dark. And I mean dark in a way that's actually earned, not just let's make everything gray and rainy dark. Peter's powers start breaking down. At first it's small things, mistimed web shot, slower reaction speed, easy to ignore. But then it escalates fast. His webbing goes organic, shooting directly from his wrists, involuntary, like his body is just doing things without asking permission first. And if that sounds familiar, yes, that's Tobey Maguire territory. Except here, it's not a fun quirk. It's a symptom. The trailer shows his eyes glowing red in fights. I pointed this out in my last video and I said it didn't look like a stylistic choice. Turns out I was right, because according to the leak, that's Peter actively losing control. His emotional state is bleeding into his powers in real time. The more stressed he gets, the more unstable and aggressive his abilities become. And then the cocoon scene happens. He wakes up one morning and his entire apartment is wrapped in webbing. The whole thing, like a nest. And he's hanging upside down outside his building, completely confused about what his own body did while he was unconscious. This is pulled directly from the Spider Totem storyline in the comic. And what makes it work is the reason behind it. It's not a malfunction. His body is adapted. Years of emotional suppression, isolation, and non-stop stress have triggered something dormant in his biology ever since the radioactive spider bite. His body is trying to become something else. Something more spider than human. So this is where the Hulk connection gets interesting. According to the leak, Bruce Banner is now a professor at Empire State University, wearing an inhibitor band to keep himself from hulking out. Peter walks into his class, Banner doesn't recognize him, memory spell did its job. But here's the detail that I genuinely love. The spell only worked on Bruce Banner's mind. The Hulk still remembers Peter Parker. Banner scans Peter and immediately understands what's happened. Not a malfunction, a metamorphosis. Peter's DNA is actively rewriting itself. There's even a moment where Banner references his own transformation, not as a comparison, but as a warning, because he knows better than anyone what happens when a biological change like this goes unchecked. And this is also where Sadie Sink's character gets introduced. Jean Grey, a mutant. On the run from Doc, who doesn't see her as a person in danger, they see an unregistered, unstable threat that needs to be contained. She's literally restrained in a chair somewhere in that facility. The trailer showed it. We just didn't know who it was. Her presence here isn't random. It's clearly setting up the X-Men pipeline. And honestly, using Brand New Day as that bridge is a smarter move than just dropping mutants into an Avengers film with no setup. Frank Castle protecting Jean Grey is the most logical thing in this entire leak, and I will not hear otherwise. Because Frank doesn't protect people because the system works. He protects people when the system has already failed them. And Doc failing Jean completely tracks with everything this movie seems to be saying about oversight and control. The Spider-Man and Punisher team up throughout the trailer suddenly makes a lot more sense in this context. There's even a reported exchange where Peter gets hit by Frank's van during a chase and says, "What the hell, Frank, you just hit me with a van," and Frank just goes, "You're complaining?" and then fires his gun anyway. That is the most Punisher line ever written, and I need it to be real. Behind all of the chaos is Tombstone, and what I like about how he's reportedly used here is that he's not the loudest villain. He's the smartest one. He understands that instability is profitable, that if the streets feel unsafe enough, people stop asking questions about who benefits. So he funds the Hand to attack dock facilities, manufacture chaos, and specifically free Mac Gargan, Scorpion, from custody. And yes, the leak confirms this is finally the payoff for that homecoming post-credit scene from 2017. 8 years later, Scorpion in the full mechanical suit. The highway convoy sequence in the trailer, that massive chase, is apparently the centerpiece action set, and it ends badly. Gargan escapes. Doc loses all credibility, and Peter's powers fail him at the absolute worst moment. His webbing misfires, his reactions are lagging, and the Punisher physically has to pull him out. Spider-Man doesn't win that fight. He retreats. And for a guy who has been running himself into exhaustion specifically to not feel like a failure, that hits differently. Okay, this is the part. Banner eventually tells Peter the full truth. His body is forcing a complete metamorphosis, and the driving force behind it isn't just the biology, it's the emotion. Fear, guilt, loneliness, anger. Everything Peter has been suppressing since No Way Home is physically accelerating the transformation, and then it happens. He gets encased in an organic web cocoon, and what comes out the other side isn't Peter Parker. Extra limbs, animalistic movement, human features gone, full man spider. And look, man spider in live action, done practically, treated seriously as a body horror transformation rather than a CG spectacle. If they pull this off the way the leak describes, this could genuinely be one of the most memorable sequences in any Spider-Man film ever made. The only person who can reach him isn't Banner, who's still recovering. It's not Frank, who can't reason with something that doesn't think like a person anymore. It's Jean Grey. She doesn't physically restrain him. She goes in mentally and forces Peter to confront the one thing he's been running from since No Way Home. Spider-Man alone isn't enough. The mask is not a life. And the human side he's been abandoning, that's not the weakness. That's the stabilizer. That's what holds everything together. Once that lands, the transformation reverses, slowly, painfully. Peter comes back. The movie ends with Peter finally approaching Imgur, not as Spider-Man keeping watch from a distance, as himself at a house party in person. She has a new boyfriend. He's about to tell her who he is, and she figures it out on her own. Again, the confession he's been carrying since No Way Home finally gets said out loud. Ned shows up, and it's not dramatic, it's just familiar, simple, real. Peter's actual victory isn't getting his old life back, it's choosing to have a life, choosing to exist as both Peter Parker and Spider-Man instead of hiding inside one of them. Now the post-credits scene. And this one is cold. Tombstone, an unknown buyer. A sealed vial slides across the table. Inside it, the symbiote, not newly discovered, deliberately secured, deliberately passed on, a weapon with intent behind it. The camera shifts to Scorpion. Tombstone looks at him like someone evaluating an upgrade. Peter Parker is not the next host. Mac Gargan is. And that right there, that's the setup for whatever comes next. Because where Peter's entire story in this film was about learning control, the symbiote's whole thing is the complete absence of it. Someone who doesn't wrestle with guilt or restraint. Just pure, focused rage. The city survived Brand New Day. But Tombstone is already planning the next chapter. So that's the full reported plot of Spider-Man Brand New Day. And honestly, if even half of this is accurate, this is the Spider-Man movie we've been waiting for since 2017. Drop your reaction in the comments. Are you ready for Man Spider? Because I genuinely think I am.